Listen, I know this is going to sound crazy, but do we need Nintendo Directs anymore? Yeah, I know what you're thinking. There's no way of all people Nintendo Land is the one saying this when he makes a Nintendo Direct video like once a week. And yes, I made a lot. I made over 170 different Nintendo Direct videos since I started this channel in 2018. I mean, in this year alone, I've already made 13 videos on the topic and it's only April. And today makes number 14 for the month. I don't care, get used to it. But today's video, it's a little different than normal. No, this isn't me complaining how Nintendo hasn't had a Direct yet. No, this isn't me begging for a new Direct. In fact, it's quite the opposite. I think I'm coming to a certain point of my senses where, do I even want a Direct anymore? Look, I promise you I'm okay. This is me. No one's hacked me, at least not yet. Look, Nintendo Directs can be a lot of fun, and some of those reveals are extremely hype, but over the last couple of years, I felt a little lackluster on these showings. It feels like it kind of repeats the same cycle, and after the last Nintendo Direct last September, oh boy, that was a show. Now, I was also one of the few people that felt the same way about the Switch 2 Direct, where I felt like there was a couple of big announcements and everything else was just tons of third-party games that were older games and just a bunch of Switch 2 editions and filler and this stupid game. Yeah, everybody got mad at me because I didn't react to freaking Deltarune. I don't like Deltarune. It's okay. Let me back up. I've actually never played Deltarune. I probably will really like it because I actually really liked Undertale. I just haven't gotten around to it. Look, okay, I'm getting way off track. But after feeling very on the Switch 2 Direct and then that September Direct being pretty awful, I mean, it was probably one of the worst Directs I've ever seen, I started to ask myself all the way back in last September, do I even care about Nintendo Directs anymore? Do I need these things? But somehow I kind of talked myself out of it. As we jumped into 2026 in the new year, I think we were all kind of expecting a big Nintendo Direct in February to lift us back up from that very low one they gave us in September. But now, after we've been waiting and months have gone by and Nintendo's clearly not having a Nintendo Direct probably until this June, at least that's what Nin10doland is saying, a very reliable insider, I'm starting to feel back in that feeling I did in last September. Do I really want a Nintendo Direct again? Now, I can't find it, but someone put a comment on one of my tweets a while back talking about Nintendo Directs. Someone said, I feel like Nintendo Directs just aren't for me anymore. I'd rather have Twitter drops of things I know I'm going to enjoy rather than sitting through a slogfest of 40 minutes of stuff I don't care about. And this was the exact same thing that I was actually feeling during the last Nintendo Direct. And let me be clear, the Nintendo Directs don't just have filler for everybody. You know, everyone out there is different. Some people are going to enjoy those smaller games that they show off and genuinely find excitement out of them. And some people might even find excitement out of really old third-party games that are finally coming to Switch 2 simply because they couldn't play them before. Some people out there see Fire Simulator and they're like, dang, that's for me. Everybody's different with different tastes and preferences, but when we have both partner directs and general directs taking place now throughout the year, you start to expect for these general directs to have more first-party content in them, and it feels like they really don't. And that first-party content they do have normally seems to be on the smaller scale. Something that we've all known since Nintendo Directs have ever even became a thing is Nintendo generally starts the show with a really huge title, and then they end the show with a really huge title. And sometimes they don't even do that. Sometimes they can start the show with something like Dragon Quest or Monster Hunter, which they have done multiple times before, which means that leaves you with whatever's at the end. And sometimes it can be something more niche and a little smaller than a huge title, something like a Tomodachi Life or a Fire Emblem. I know Tomodachi Life on the 3DS sold like crazy, but they're still pretty niche franchises. But even if you're a huge Fire Emblem fan and really enjoyed the final announcement in the last Direct, my point is, that's really kind of all we get, it feels like. The big start and the big finish, which is maybe 2 to 3 minutes of a 40-minute showcase. It's just not worth it in my opinion. I mean, just look at the last show. It started with not even a major new game. It started with Mario's 40th anniversary of Miyamoto just talking about some of the plans and some older games coming back like Galaxies 1 and 2 and Mario Wonder. And then it ended with Fire Emblem, and that was really about it. Now, sometimes you can also have a middle of the show announcement, but normally this is where they talk about something that's already been announced. I mean, I don't even think the last show really had one of these. It literally just showed off like the Virtual Boy coming to NSO, and you had to buy a plastic Virtual Boy in order to play it, which was just stupid. And for me, the two biggest highlights of that entire show that came out of it was Pokemon Pokopia and Fire Emblem Fortune's Weave. And you know what's funny about that? I just jumped into the Fire Emblem franchise literally a couple months ago, and Pokemon I've never been a real big fan of, but I actually ended up really enjoying Pokopia. But still, 2 games, and both of them are from my 2 least favorite franchises from Nintendo right now. That's coming from me! Of course, the big announcements are exciting, and every single Direct in the past has always kind of been based off of that. You know, many people talk about the beginning and end of the Nintendo Direct the most. That's where all the reaction videos pop up on YouTube because it's a Smash announcement or some type of new 3D Zelda or Mario trailer. So that's the stuff that people really get hooked on, and I feel like most people want Nintendo Directs because of those announcements. But I'm here to disagree slightly, because one thing that I've always said made Nintendo Directs really fun was when Nintendo already has tons of pre-announced games that they need to give us more information on. So that way those filler announcements as we wait for the new stuff doesn't just feel like filler, it feels like important updates on games we've been waiting for. Splatoon Raiders is a game right now they could easily dive deep into a segment in the next Nintendo Direct that I think a general part of Nintendo's audience would genuinely be very interested in. Yes, it's a spin-off of the mainline series of Splatoon, but it's a single-player adventure game. People are going to really care about this thing. This is going to be a big deal. And Fortune's Weave is a brand new mainline Fire Emblem game that looks like it's finally returning to what they were doing in Three Houses, and a lot of people are going to care about this. I'm actually very interested in this game, and I can't learn more if Nintendo doesn't tell us anything. They announced this thing back in last September, and it looks like we're going to have to wait until June, maybe until we learn something new. They could give us something on a Twitter drop, but still, it's just crazy when you think about this could have been in a Direct right now. The same exact thing goes for Yoshi and the Mysterious Book, a game that launches next month, and we barely know anything about it. Whenever they give us new information, it's just some small little gameplay of a single level of Yoshi just doing something, and then they cut it before we learn anything about the game's mechanics, how it works, anything else. Even Rhythm Heaven Groove is getting some super strange marketing on Twitter. Instead of just dropping a full trailer for the game, they just keep showing like one mini game at a time, and that's how the marketing is going right now, which is just strange. This game deserves better. As a huge Rhythm Heaven fan, I want more for them. And if the rumors are to be believed, which they should be, they're coming from a very reliable source of Nate the Hate, we're getting a new Star Fox game revealed this month and released this summer, we're getting a Pikmin 4 Switch 2 edition this summer, and we're also getting some type of new Switch Sports, whether it be a Switch 2 edition of the first one or a brand new game. All of these games, all of these announcements could be stuff in the next show. But if all these games are coming out this summer, they're going to have to reveal some before a June Nintendo Direct, which would already be in the summer. And like I said, it seems like Nintendo is, because Nate the Hate is confident that Nintendo is going to come out and just drop a trailer for this new Star Fox game this month in April, which is so stupid. Star Fox deserves better than a Twitter drop. Now, one argument I've heard was that with the recent Rhythm Heaven trailer that Nintendo dropped on Twitter, everybody said, look at how many interactions it has and how many likes. This is just as fine as a Nintendo Direct. That's because it's the only way the information is coming out. It's still not touching the numbers of 6 to 7 million people watching a Nintendo Direct live. Yes, I said 6-7. Of course, people are going to interact with whatever Nintendo posts on Twitter right now because they haven't had a Direct in forever, and it's the only way to watch the new announcements and reveals. It's because Nintendo's only putting them on the Today app and on Twitter. So I know I might sound a little confusing right now. At first I was on team no Direct, but now I'm saying they need a Direct. This is really what I'm trying to say here. I think Nintendo needs to take their times with when they do Directs. I kind of understand why they didn't have a Direct super early in the year, but they're getting at that moment where it's getting a little too late. I feel like a Direct in April or May would have been perfect in order to get out more information on these games that are coming this summer while also announcing new ones. This would be a Direct that everyone would love this time because there's tons of information coming on many highly anticipated first-party titles while also having a banger beginning, middle, and end of the Direct announcing some new titles like Star Fox, maybe that heavily rumored Ocarina of Time remake, or something else for the future. Like, think about it, they could announce anything new. Something we've been waiting for almost 10 years. That would be cool, 3D Mario. So what I'm trying to say is if Nintendo does go down in their Nintendo Directs and instead of 3 a year, one in the beginning, one in the middle, and one at the end, maybe they move to like 2 a year, one in the middle and one at the end. I could see that being a really cool thing. If your summer Direct is really massive and touching on tons of titles coming throughout the entire rest of the year, just completely finishing off the year, and then your September Direct really hypes up the next year and the next like first 6 months of the following year, you could genuinely get away with that. So do we need general Nintendo Directs anymore, and are they still coming? Yes, I do think we're going to keep getting them, and I think the next one probably will be this summer in June, and we probably still will get a September one, maybe. But I think maybe we should go to fewer Nintendo Directs, so there's fewer discourse with some of the Directs that really don't reveal too much new. I mean, dude, it's so exciting waiting for a new Nintendo Direct after it gets announced and predicting everything that could be in it, like 3D Mario and Metroid and Kirby and Zelda and all this good stuff, and then it comes and it's just like 36 minutes of fire simulator. And it's funny because I think this is exactly what I've been asking for from Nintendo for a while now. There's been so many Switch 2 games coming out. Literally, there's been a new Nintendo game coming out every single month. But I feel like I'd rather have months with gaps and we just get really high quality games when they do come every 2 to 3 months, because I feel like quality is always way more important than quantity. Taking your time to make sure that the game is worth it when it comes out. Taking your time to make sure that the Nintendo Direct is packed full of content that's going to generally satisfy a general audience. And perhaps this is why we haven't had one yet. Nintendo is just trying to make sure that they do it right this time. Not pushing a Nintendo Direct unless they feel like they absolutely need one or it's absolutely time for it. And based off of all the stuff that we know is coming, I think it's getting about that time where Nintendo needs to have a general Nintendo Direct. Now, like I said, it probably won't happen until June, but man, I'm not trying to overhype something anymore, but dude, if you didn't have a Nintendo Direct since last September and you finally have one in the following June, being 9 months later, I feel like expectations are going to be through the roof. You gotta come through with this next Direct. But let me know what you guys think. Are you fine just getting Twitter drops and information on the Nintendo Today app? Do you even have the Nintendo Today app? I think I do. Hold on, let me check my phone. Yeah, I do. I just don't open it. But let me know in the comments down below if you think we need Nintendo Directs and why or why not. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you all have a blessed rest of your day. See ya, guys.